People, welcome back to Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Today we are kick off the spooky series officially. And just like me mentioned last week, we are start off with the most popular unknown group in Jamaica. Now you might be wondering, how can somebody be a popular unknown? How can someone or something be popular and unknown? Look at YouTuber, isn't that an oxymoron? Don't worry, it's gonna make sense by the end of this video. The reason why I say this group are the most popular unknown group in Jamaica, especially rural Jamaica, is because people talk about them every day and they know side them. As in them they know side this group them I talk about. I'm talking about the independent order of the mechanics, often mistaken for Freemasons. Yes, that is how they are the most popular unknown group in Jamaica. Popular because people talk about it every day. They see all kind of YouTube videos and your neighbor from down the road that tell about this and him say him see this and him see all kind of something. In the time the man take 2 steps to the left and walk back way and all kind of something. Majority of this get attributed to the Mason then. Freemason and mechanic are 2 different set of people. For the most part, the spooky series are gonna make it clearer for you. The independent order of the mechanics. Just call them mechanics. Like how people just say the Masons, they have the mechanics. Now you might be wondering to yourself, hold on, what kind of tradesman thing are going on? So what kind of art trust NTA business are going on? So Mason and mechanic and electrician and plumber and all kind of stuff. Well, it's rooted in, let's just say the craft guilds them. That's why about the Masons and the mechanics. This video is to make it clearer to you, clearer to the masses. So enough of the people them wanna talk about. Enough of the thing them wanna say a masonry is really mechanics. Look on your screen right now. The average Jamaican walk past and see this on a wall or see this on a car or see this on a picture somebody put up. And you ask them, what that? Where this come from? Which group that? Majority are gonna say Freemason or Illuminati. That's the second one where everybody talk about. Freemason and Illuminati are the 2 most common groups everybody talk about. But what you're looking at on your screen, that right there so, is what you will find in a mechanics lodge. Pay attention to it. Enough of the symbols them overlap, especially with masonry. What you have to understand is that groups like the mechanics and the mason them, people in these groups will tell you that they're not secret groups. Them have secrets, but them not secret. Remember say you have lodge all about the place, you know, lodge man have him lodge right this and he must come out and care walk on them lodge and like say him put on one invisible cloak and then walk going and nobody can see him. You have secret societies where are actually secret from the masses. That's how you know a secret society. If everybody know about it, it can't be a secret. Think about it, guy. Every man and him pet mongrel on YouTube can tell about every secret in the Illuminati and every secret in the Masons and every this and every that. That's not very secret, is it? Now for the information that people put out, understand enough of them things that what them call psyop. Show some things and sprinkle some things to the masses. Then when them cling on upon it and feel like them know something, meanwhile, what really are going on in the dark. We're not going to hear about the Mason them further on down the road. But right now, I'm introducing you to the mechanics. And I'm going to tell you the difference between a Mason and a mechanic. so you can better understand what you deal with moving forward. There is no point talking about something and you don't even know what you're talking about. It's like talking about Manchester United when I really Manchester City. The things them apply to that don't make sense. So yes, they're similar but they're not the same. Again, keep your eye on the symbols them where you go see in this video and you're going to realize none of them look real familiar. Mechanics came out of masonry. Mechanics came out of masonry. Think of it like a branch off, like a breakaway from masonry. It originated in England in the 1700s, Lancashire to be precise. Now, the mechanics will tell you that they're not exactly a religious group per se, but they believe in the existence of a deity. You will hear them mention God. Often you will see all kind of signs with God on it, but they're not exactly a religious group. Like where there are people who are just Muslim, Christian and all them something there. And you have the man over here so a Hindu and a man, you have Jew one. It's not a religion, but more of a way of life. This is what a mechanic will tell you. Similar to a mason, by the way. You're going to hear enough similarities with the mason then, which is why people always mix them up. Now I'm going to show you why there's a big confusion. For starters, mechanics have lodge just like how mason have lodge. They have similar symbols because, remember, came out of masonry. But when you hear about a lodge, when somebody tell you, say, yo, I see them man, they go down a lodge every day, what's the first thing come to your mind? A mason. So, enough Jamaicans all them life I hear about this lodge and the man down a lodge and I see when time him go so boom and him turn on the way and him go so boom and step 3 steps to the side and I say like all skull and I say them find one bone over here and the blood sprinkle upon this and the lodge. That's one of the main ways mechanics get mixed up with masonry. Because mechanics have lodge too. When you go certain place in a rural Jamaica, you see all kind of lodges. Especially all some old packed down lodges, the building and fall down a long time it about. And people tell you all kind of story about you see a lodge there. Yes, when you reach certain hours, you see like one man come out and like him go so. And you see like him spin round and him take one step go over here and like him turn to the east. And you see like him. Enough of them story they sound like ducky story. When we were growing up and we were hearing a story about lodge, and man go down at the lodge and like me see him go so boom. Right, and then me see Mr. Henry, you know say Mr. Henry night, and Mr. Henry go over there so, and then the lodge man them say. Enough people who people are called lodge man are mechanics. To make things even more confusing, mechanics have degrees just like how masons have degrees. And some of the degrees them in a mechanics are very similar to the one them in a masonry. Especially the blue lodge in masonry. Remember when such man he come out and tell them about 33 degrees of masonry, heights of evil. Psyop. And don't worry, in this series you are going to find out which group such man belong to. Just bear in mind the first time I talk about the spooky series, I'm telling about mason, mechanics, and cobblers. Just bear that in mind. The mechanics them have degrees like the pink degree, scarlet degree, green degree, blue degree, red knight degree. Top of the food chain is the white degree. How ironic. Now, just like in a Freemasonry, if you ask somebody who is a known member to tell you certain things, they probably won't tell you much. They definitely won't tell you their high level secrets, but them can only tell you things up to a point because there is a ranking structure and there's levels to it. Somebody who is a pink degree won't know somebody who is a white degree. No. In a masonry, somebody who's an apprentice in Ironman will not know where somebody who is a 32nd degree mason will know. And the same thing with mechanics. There's levels to it. So you might, you know somebody with my mechanics one time link them and say, boy, them never hear this yet and them know about this and know about that. maybe they are telling the truth. Because the level with them there, they make them privy to certain information. You know, make them privy to certain knowledge. And that's the key word right there, so knowledge. Now, some of you might be thinking back to yourself, hold on, me used to hear one of my family members them say them are going to lodge. And my mother tell me say, so and so go lodge. I wonder if it's a mason lodge or a mechanic lodge. This is one of the main ways you will know. Mechanics is open to man and woman. Masonry is man only. So mechanics is seed bag and eagle eye. Mason is seed bag only. So if you start remember about one of your relatives who used to go to lodge and it was your auntie and your whole family have it say your auntie a Freemason, your auntie can't be a Freemason. Your auntie was a mechanic. But within mechanics, they will tell you, say, hold on the guy. The man them have lodges, the woman them have chapters. The man them in a mechanics, the man them have lodges, the woman them have chapters. But women can be members of mechanics. Cannot in Freemasonry. No matter how much money them have, Oprah can be a Freemason. Now, mechanics very popular in the Caribbean. Even in America, you'd realize enough of the people who tell you say a mechanic are black people. It's very popular amongst black people. The official mechanics page where you might surf, when time I show enough of a picture of them, you will see some people look like your grandfather and your grandmother. In Jamaica, enough of the story my people about lodge will sound like dopey story. Enough of that don't actually tie back to original mechanics. Since the mechanic them in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, over time, people start to do them own thing and add on them own thing. Start developing them own local rituals. Them start mixing other things that was not originally a part of mechanics. Such as voodoo. I remember voodoo one of them thing that originally African thing. The slaves them brought that knowledge with them from Africa. Then that African guy with him voodoo knowledge will start take up things like mechanics. We originate from Europe, England. Things originate from England. The combination of the two started to make mechanic look a bit different in the Caribbean from what it looked in England. So going into an English lodge, them have for them own local rituals and for them own local thing. But going into a Jamaican lodge, them start to have for them own local thing too. So some people ended up with mechanic knowledge and voodoo knowledge and witchcraft knowledge. Because remember, the type of people who are attracted to mechanics and attracted to Freemasonry are people who are in a never-ending quest for knowledge. The people who had knowledge from all different groups, people who had knowledge from all different sources started to combine that knowledge. So in Jamaica, you have people who still try and stick to the original mechanic way of doing things, like how it's staying in Europe. So in Jamaica, you will have two lodge, and the two lodge them are practice different things. That's not how it's supposed to be formally, but that is what happened. And one mechanic will tell us that them reject what go on over the lodge there. You tell them say, yo, over the lodge there, man cut the goat blood and then them sprinkle it on like the human bone, and man tell you say, he don't know about that. That sound like dopey story and a theme something that. He might tell you say that's not real mechanics. People start to mix in all kind of dopey style tactics. That's why especially in rural Jamaica, people afraid when them hear the name lodge. And they may say that man that lodge man and they start tremble. Remember when time they find old lodge with all kind of bone and something. And the story come out and people say, boy, they find one Freemason lodge and how much bone and skull and all kind of something they find on mechanics. Yes, mechanics. When you hear about people that walk down the road and do all kind of rituals and spin out and all kind of bone and all, the more out there stories are generally mechanics. As I say, Masons have film own rituals. We are able to Masons them down the road. Mechanics we are talking about right now. And more importantly, making you know that there's a difference. That is what this video is about. The difference between masons and mechanic. We can't go anywhere in this spooky series if we don't know the difference. Because I didn't want to just start talk about lodge. I only just things me I talk about mason. You need to understand, you have mason lodge and mechanics lodge. And to make things worse, there's even a third group. A third group where I just refer to them as the cobblers. Because since you know the whole trade thing, mason, mechanic. Now if mechanics was birthed out of masonry, cobblers birthed out of masonry and mechanics. These are the people who take elements of mechanics and mason, add on them own thing, but might call themselves a mason or a mechanic. Me already shown you say masonry and mechanics different, because a mason will tell you that the man there is not like me, and a mechanics will tell you that the man there is not like me. Right? Masons and mechanics, I will tell you they are not the same. So now we make that clear. Me make you know about the third group, what me call the cobblers, cause them are gonna tell you say them a mason and them a mechanic, but in reality, they mix up the two, take elements from the two and add on other parts. These people are known as the cobblers. Cobblers are very sinister. Them gone straight down in all devil worshipping. Cobblers mix in everything, but them have enough information about how masonry work and how mechanics work to mix it in a for them thing. They will also wear the same symbols. So the cobbler, the mason, and the mechanic will have the same symbol I walk around with. Now you see how people start get confused. Cobbler does not operate on any kind of code or guideline, unlike the masons and the mechanics. Within masonry, there are certain things where you can do and certain things where you can't do. Within mechanics, there are certain things where you can do, certain things where you can't do. Cobblers go wherever the breeze blow them. Cobblers will also tell you about God. One time I asked the question, which God? You have to understand why I say which God. You know. Officially, mechanics will tell you that their goal is to promote honor, justice, charity. They will tell you that they are a friendly society. You know, the PR for these groups is actually first class. You know. If a mechanic ever tell you about them thing, it sounds first class. The PR is amazing. The words are great. But like most things in life, it's never that straightforward. But you must understand, whether mason or mechanic or cobblers, them easy to mix up. Easy. Enough people who brandish themselves as masons don't acknowledge them. Enough people who brand themselves as mechanics don't accept them. The cobblers wear the same symbol. Look on the screen. As I said, we're going to break down them symbols in the spooky series. Tell you where they come from, what this mean and what that mean. But just memorize them. And think about how much people you would see with this ring on finger, or see this sticker, or see this, and here saying go large. And I tell yourself say that man are this, and not realizing that man is actually something completely different. Cobblers combine things from Freemasonry and mechanics because it's easy to do. No similarities. Cobblers them have them own meeting place, so them tell us a lodge. And if you ever buck up in one of them lodge there, it's spooky guy. This is just the separation. This first video in the spooky series is just to make you know there is a difference. When you start going at the rituals, when you start going out with the symbols and me, this is just to make you know. So enough things we're not talk about over the years. I only hear about lodge, I only hear say man go join lodge and him when he go down at the lodge, I only think our Freemasonry is actually mechanics. And even enough things one thinks are mechanics is actually the cobbler them. Fascinating stuff, guy. The spooky series has officially commenced. It has to be studied. But your favorite duppy bat from down the road where you think are some kind of high level 32nd degree mason or some kind of white degree mechanic is actually a cobbler. Vile. Anyway, Patreon squad, big up on yourself. PIA, you don't know, more life. Vulture squad, stay circling. Bless.